resistance.
Happy birthday to you.
Do me.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, my dearest Tim, and happy birthday to you. Thank you, sir, for everything you've done for my dream, your dream, and the dream that everybody watches live with us. So thank you for everything, Tin Man.
And thank you for bringing us in like that, man. Thank you. Blew out the birthday candles and everything. Yes, I am the Tin Man with the Resistance here today with John Connor. This is the Worldwide Resistance Network, and today is my birthday.
Yeah.
Legit, it is my birthday. I am 41 years old, so we are doing a special broadcast.
Yeah,
And
next year you have all the answers. Next year you're 40, you get all the answers.
I wish I had all the answers. If I don't have all the answers. If I did, I'd run for God.
Right?
And that's kind of why I did the whole birthday cake thing, because they say that, singing the birthday song and all that shit, blowing out the candles, they say it's witchcraft. And I kind of find that interesting because, we can talk about witchcraft and spiritualism and all that being integrated into society and whatnot, but when's the last time we heard the government really talking about all these things and the secret societies, Skull and Bones, Bohemian Grove, Freemasons? It's talked about a lot in the activist community, but I don't see it being talked about in the Trump administration.
Well, they shot that one guy, right?
Say again?
They shot that one guy who was talking about it.
Yeah, JFK.
And that was
Which is really interesting that the Trump administration's not talking about it, considering they've got a Kennedy as part of the cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of an interesting thing. Kind of where like the dunce at.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the interesting thing about the JFK and the secret societies was that JFK, here I am, Israel did it again. But JFK was opposing, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the stuff that had to do with the Dimona nuclear power plant in Israel. And he was opposing a bunch of stuff. And then he got shot, you see. And then after he got shot, the new president, he just didn't say those kinds of words, and they didn't shoot him. And the power plant started going and doing what they do. And all of a sudden, Israel has secret nuclear weapons that nobody knows about. But that was totally like JFK's era. Everybody's like, who shot JFK? Well, we can't tell you who shot JFK because there was that one guy in Germany who said that kind of stuff, and it ended bad for him. And then JFK was starting to say some things about something, and it ended bad for him. So I talk about it all the time, but I promise you, people out there, they don't talk about it. It's a big fucking problem.
Yeah. But it's interesting, because aren't there a few countries where secret societies have been banned?
Yeah. Now, could I name them off the top of my head? Unfortunately, no. But I do know it's a reality. It's just like some certain religions are not allowed to be there. I remember for the longest time, the Mormon church was having a hard time getting into specific countries just to have missionaries. Right? So if it's hard like that for a world recognized religion, I could totally believe that secret societies would be banned.
Yeah.
And I got this really weird feeling about Freemasons.
Shoot.
It was kind of in the name, and then I was watching the boys do some stonework putting the sidewalk down, and I was like, "Shit, that's a lot of hard work." And they probably get paid well for that, right? And I was like, "Wait, but what if a man did that for free, right?" And I was like, "Wait a minute, there was always a group of builders that built temples for churches at like cost of material, like the masonry work was free, but stones, and so you would have to get the stones there, and so on. I'm starting to believe that the Freemasons were a grouping of very good stone workers that built the temples and didn't charge for their craft. Like for, you know what I mean? Maybe they took money for themselves here and there, but not in what me and you would call like a salary or a wage. Like, sure, they probably ate. Yeah, so I was starting to think about the Freemasons in that light as well, right? Because the thing with secret society is that it's a secret, so you don't know who's benevolent and who's doing not so nice things. I could say that I've seen a lot of the Freemasonry work, but then I did research about the Mormons and the Masons, and I don't know if you knew this, but like the Mormon temple.
Joseph Smith was a 33-degree Freemason, and so was his father.
Yes, and what's interesting is that the Knights Templar is found at the 3rd degree, right? And most people think that that's where it ends, but it goes all the way up to the 33rd, and then after that, you land, and most people don't even know this exists. I can't believe I'm remembering this. Thank you, big man upstairs. Masonry goes to the 90th degree, but you'll find the 90th degrees in what's called esoteric Masonry, which is
I did not know that.
We have the 3rd degree Knights Templars, and then in the 33s and things like that, we find the stonemasons, the Freemasons, and things like that. And in essence, Masonry is where the elites gather. Now, at this point, when I say elites, I'm not talking about bad people. I'm just talking about being the elite of your field, just being the best at what you do. And in religion, whether it's Islam, Judaism, or Christianity, there are pastors, ministers, bishops, prophets, tra-la-la. Well, they are all part of esoteric Masonry. And if they are members of it, they are in there. And that esoteric Masonry, that's where we find things like majestic, clearance, like secret, top secret, secret, classified, top secret, or whichever directions those go. And then the next one above it, which is the majestic 12 clearance, that's inside of esoteric Masonry. That's like aliens and shit. Like that's the big stuff. And
see, that's a lot of shit that I didn't even know about. Like, I know the Freemasons. I know as far as like modern day Freemasonry is commonly referred to as Scottish Freemasonry, which would insinuate that it started in Scotland. But you have a lot of people claiming it goes all the way back to Judaism and the Temple of Solomon. You're talking about how they were building churches. One of the big claims to fame, at least from what I've heard, is that Freemasonry, their big claim to fame was that they were the ones that built God's temple during the reign of King Solomon. And that was their whole claim to fame.
Do you know what Joseph Smith's claim to fame was? Was that they could build the temple exactly like Solomon's temple, but Joseph Smith was able to tell you what the rooms were for.
Yeah, and
the difference.
Well, that's kind of interesting that you brought that up, because you talk about what those rooms were for and the symbolism and the rituals, for lack of a better term, that were performed there, the ordinances that were performed there, and how it was all done. If, in fact, Masonry goes back to ancient Judaism, having built the Temple of Solomon, many of those people would have been privy to that information. If, let's just say, if the Latter-day Saints are correct, and Joseph Smith restored those temple ordinances, then that implies, in theory, that this information was held by the Freemasons, because they claim that he stole a lot of their symbolism for those rituals, at which point it could then be theoretically argued that they took their symbolism derived from the ordinances of the original priests in Solomon's temple, and then Joseph Smith, again, in theory, just took it back. It's like, so this was God's ordinances. Now you hijacked it. I'm hijacking it back.
Well, I've always said this to people when they said that Masonry was of the devil, and I was like, dude, what was Jesus? Like, what was he? I get it. Messiah, Son of God, Redeemer of the world, a bunch of titles, right? What was his job? What was Jesus? Jesus was a carpenter.
Yeah.
When he taught to shepherds, he used allegories in regards to farming, sheep, and so on and so forth. If this exact same dude was going to teach builders, he would use allegories in regards to building. But here's the kicker. Because he was a carpenter, he would have an in-depth knowledge of just straight up just the craft. So when he would do an allegory of carpentry, that would be the farmer would never catch it. The sheep herdsman would never catch it unless they were, reasonably savvy. We're talking about a time where you were good at one thing and you didn't study other things. It's not like today where you pick up the phone and you're like, I want to learn this now. Back then it wasn't like that. So he would have had to teach the Gospels to a bunch of shepherds, the downtrodden, the poor, the so on and so forth. And then he would have had to find a way to teach the exact same message to the well-off or the carpenters and the builders of that world. It's like, what if they had the design for the Temple of Solomon, but when Jesus walked as a carpenter, he taught what he taught, and that is what me and you are calling Masonry, Freemasons. It can go that kind of far back, and people will argue it, and I'm like, dude, they're still fighting in the desert over some shit that the blind Abraham couldn't solve. So it can go far back. That's why I always tell people it's not about getting a book and becoming religious. It's about getting the book and understanding what's written in it so that nobody can lie to you about said book. Right? That's the big part of it all. And one of the things that these people are good at is just keeping their stuff secret. Like, most people don't even know what the Talmud is. Most people don't know what the Kabbalah is. Some people know what the Kabbalah is, but very few people know that the Talmud and the Kabbalah come from the same people. And that's worrisome. When we understand that Zionists worship the Talmud, well, that's kind of sick and disgusting. But we also know that Zionists have a big fascination with anything in regards to Kabbalah. Now, those of you who don't understand, Kabbalah is formats of sacred geometry and things of this nature, which lead humans to believing into some sort of magic, when it's really not that complex. Okay, this is what it is. Okay, on the planet we have what's called ley lines, where those ley lines cross. Okay, so every now and again you're going to have a ley line cross on top of another ley line. Okay, where those ley line crosses, there's a high energetic output. The planet just kind of pushes a little bit more juice out of these areas. It has been said, and this is kind of the information that the Freemasons have held, this is what the prophets of many religions hold when they pick a location for their holy sites. I've been called by God to build a temple here. No, dude, it's because you know that the two ley lines cross there. Just tell us. It's okay. So because
it's a spiritual nexus point.
Well, here's where it gets crazy. If you build a building using sacred geometric shapes and build that building in a sacred geometric shape, a pyramid, okay, and you build that on an area where two ley lines cross, it has been said that some of the largest natural disasters have taken place, but the buildings that are built in that way on those places stand the best chance of survival. I don't know why. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know exactly the physics, and so I don't. I'm just saying it has been said in the days of old that if you know where the ley lines are, if you know where they cross, and if you can build a sacred geometric building with blocks and whatevers that are cut into sacred geometric shapes, which is why you would need the Freemasons, because you would need perfection. When you need a perfect cone or a perfect pyramid or a perfect square, or we got certain shapes, the Platonic solids, the 5 Platonic solids, sacred geometric shapes. For some reason, the earth can't shake these things. I don't know. Maybe it's a lie. But that's the stuff that's the information that's contained inside of the Kabbalah. What else is in there? The Hindus know this. It's the chakras, the energy outputs, all of that. This is all Kabbalistic things. You guys can find videos of Madonna when she discovered the Kabbalah saying, I think I found something deeper, older than
that was what kind of segued into modern day spiritualism, which in truth is just Hinduism and Buddhism tempered with Christian theology. All spiritualism ever was the premise of what Christ said was literally the parable of the mustard seed. If you have faith of that of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. It's the power of belief. That's all spiritualism is. And it's tempered in with things like reincarnation. And spiritualism will say that it goes hand in hand with Christianity, which is a complete and utter lie, because Christianity in any given form does not ascribe to the notions of reincarnation.
Nope.
And it most certainly doesn't. Hold on. Let me finish my thought. Sorry.
Yeah.
It most certainly doesn't apply to the creeds of Judeo-Christian ethics, because if there is reincarnation, then there is no consequence for bad behavior. Judeo-Christians teach, hell for the wicked, heaven for the saints, blah, 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 salvation, redemption, all that, and damnation. If you don't have that as a result of your belief system, if reincarnation is a thing, then there is no risk of heaven or hell. There is no progression. And there is no basis for a moral compass, and at which point it's left up to the individual, at which point you have the spiritual pedophile who thinks, okay, I believe that, as a minor, as they would say, a minor attractive person, that this thing is okay. A murderer will go, okay, I think murder's okay. A thief will go, theft is okay. Now, morality would degrade and be contingent on the beliefs of the individual. And therefore, spiritualism thus becomes a farce, because there is no progression. It has no ties to anything but Hinduism and Buddhism, which do have moral codes. And it just makes you bang your head against the wall, really.
It's because this is the difference between Christianity and 90% of the other religions, is they all, in one way, shape, or form, acknowledge something bigger than themselves. Whatever they choose to call it is potato, but they acknowledge something bigger than themselves. Christianity says, I hear and see that. Do you know how to talk to it? Let me show you how to talk to that thing that you know already exists. That's what the Muslims have been trying to reteach the Christians, because Jesus did not want you to pray to him. He wanted you to pray to God.
To the Father in his name.
That's right, but not to him. And that's where the Muslims are like, bro, you're reading it wrong. And that's why I side with the Muslims a lot because they have a lot of solid like Jesus theology.
It's funny, Christians become complacent in their moral standing. They let more and more slide. The Israelis has been evident, they don't offer sacrifices like they did in the Abrahamic covenant and the Mosaic covenant anymore. And, given, the whole black male and Mossad thing, they're trying to get people to sin instead of being a light to the rest of the world to lead to God.
Yeah,
the Muslims seem to be the only ones holding to their guns, pardon the pun, in terms of their quote unquote moral compass. In fact, they go probably the opposite direction. They go overboard. And that's where you get your Muslim extremists.
Like they pray 5 times a day. Show me a Christian that has time to get down on his knee in the morning.
Yeah.
It's
more ritualistic. Agreed, but they're very devout to their belief. They are unwavering.
Mm-hmm. So is the Catholic, very ritualistic.
Yeah, but even the Catholics, in terms of morality,
can
be very shady. And I wasn't even insinuating, the whole Catholic priest altar boy shit.
No, just regular.
I'm just saying, its general membership, is very lax in terms of morality. I mean, even Tupac, who was perpetuating gangster rap, had to sell his soul to fucking get into the industry, but was still a Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And many people who ascribe to the gang life, the thug life, are Catholic, whether they be black or Hispanic. A lot of those Hispanic gang members come from a Catholic background.
Oh yeah, they rock the Jesus pieces, man.
Yeah,
like and it's really real. Like don't this is like that's their heart and soul. That's their grandmother. That's their mother. That's everything they were ever taught that they hold sacred. That's still good. That's still good in them. Because they have always chosen to do bad things and they know it.
Yeah. But, the Muslims, on the other hand, they don't waver on that shit. You steal something, you get your finger chopped off. You commit murder, they will kill you back.
Right.
You insult their God. Whether you don't get called anti-Semitic, you get your freaking head blown off. You get unalived in the most unaliving way possible.
Yeah, in the most painful unaliving.
They don't fuck around.
And then, and you brought up a good point when you're like we're sliding, like the Christians were sliding. And then as you were saying it, I was like, dude, are we sliding or are we turning the cheek too many times? Turning the other cheek, like the Sermon on the Mount.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to fight anymore. Nobody wants to argue anymore. Nobody wants to. Like where it's like what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And there was a time when men and women were prepared to die for what was right. Now it's like we'll just take care of what's right now.
Yeah. We had the Crusades, we had the persecution of the Latter-day Saints. People were willing to kill to say Joseph Smith was wrong and traditional notions of Christianity were right, despite living in a nation where you had the right to worship how and what you will.
Mm-hmm. Which is slowly dwindling away.
Yeah, and we kind of opened the floodgates in the States to that one. I don't know how different it is in Canada or even in contrast to the rest of the world as far as like Europe it would be concerned. But, Christianity has become very lax to the secret societies. And I think secret societies played a big part in that, in their influence and leading segue to the other things that
have you heard of the Schofield Study Bible?
Stage. The Schofield Bible, I have not.
So I did not know. This is something I figured out yesterday. It's kind of one of those videos that come across. And because I'm not afraid of like Bible stuff, and I don't just scroll past. I'll look at it. Did you know that the Schofield Study Bible? You'll look into it a little bit more, but this is, you know, the whole like bless the Jews and God will bless you and bless Israel, all that stuff.
That was their deal. The Schofield Bible was their deal to kind of perpetuate the stuff they were doing.
Do you know who
the
wrote
King
it?
James Bible? King James was alleged to have been a Satanist.
Yeah, but do you know who wrote Schofield?
It had something to do with Judaism. It had something to do with Israel.
It was like legitimately like the nation state of Israel hired some guy, paid some guy to read the Bible, rewrite that bitch to put, okay, because like you read the King James, who crucifies Christ? The Romans on behalf of the Jews. The Schofield don't teach it like that. Like anything that could remotely put the Jewish people in a negative light has been.
Well, there goes the entire Old Testament.
Right? So that entire book, like that was like, we always talk about like big fancy psyops, but like just one translation of the Bible, mass produced and sent to everywhere. And that whole like bless Israel, bless the Jews, it comes from that Bible. But the thing is that where they put it in that Bible, it was done in a time frame and a time period where the individual that would become named Israel and didn't even exist yet. So this is what this is what Israel's going on. Okay, guys, this is what it is.
What's the country that won't exist for another 1,000 years in the chronological timeline of this book, which was derived from the Torah, which doesn't even say that shit.
No, there's a point where God tells Abraham that like, go here and like there is a land for you. Okay. He said that to Abraham long before any of Abraham's sons were born. This land was promised to Abraham and Abraham alone to build his family. That turned into it belongs to the Israelis. What did you just hold up? JPS Tanakh. What's that?
Yeah, this is the complete Old Testament.
Oh,
the
nice.
Torah, as you understand it,
was the first
first 5 books of Moses.
And that's it.
This is the complete Old Testament. So you're talking about just the first few chapters of Genesis on up to past Noah. Leakia. Okay, there you go. You're talking about this much of the book in contrast to this much of the book.
Jesus, right? Oh, and it's like that's that moment where you think you know something and you only know 80 pages.
Yeah.
Right. So that argument is what they're still fighting about now.
Yeah, in fact, I gave a few extra pages on that. Okay. Was Abraham before or after Noah? I'm trying to remember. I know Israel was after Noah.
Oh yeah.
No, not Israel, but Israel the person.
Hold on. Allah is only one God and all of us. Yeah, it's doesn't it go like Adam and then not too long after Adam it's Abraham?
Yeah. And then Isaac and Jacob.
Yeah. Do you know how I figured that out? I had to do the processions of the prophets out of a Muslim's childhood hymn. There's a guy named Cat Stevens, and he wrote a song.
There you go. That explains it. That is your difference between Torah, Tanakh.
Crazy. So that and that is still not the Talmud. That is what I would consider a good book. What he just held up, that would be called a good book. Well,
the Talmud, here's the thing. The Talmud didn't come about until about 500 years after the crucifixion. 300 years or 200 years or so after the Council of Nicaea. Right? The Talmud is nothing more than a whole shitload of Jewish rabbis debating what this means. That's it.
And do you know when and where they were debating it?
No. I know it was somewhere in 500 AD.
Okay.
Somewhere in 500 AD, they were debating the Tanakh.
Okay. 79 elders were debating the Tanakh at the bottom of Mount Sinai when Moses was at the fucking top. When Moses was getting the 10 commandments, 79 dudes were depressed or jealous that they weren't allowed to go on the top of the mountain. So 79 dudes created what's called an oral Torah while Moses was receiving the law. And that oral Torah would be handed down for generations to generations to generations and would only become written down as what me and you know as the Talmud at the timeline that you were discussing.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't written down, and it was their interpretations of the oral teachings.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it was more than just the I'm jealous of Moses thing, you know. Yeah, there was a lot of jealousy towards Moses and Aaron. You see that all through Genesis and Exodus. Now, it was from day one that, you know, the Jews were hating on him. And because he was the spokesperson for God, even though God showed himself to all of Israel and they told him, dude, get the hell away from me or I'm going to die. I'm going to die if I see you. I can't see you. If that were the case, why the fuck would he say, oh, you're my chosen people? Why? And I'm going to reveal myself to you. Fucking ancient morons.
Right? And the reason why
it's I'm not going to bring you out to the fucking wilderness just to kill you.
Right? But the reason why we need to know all of this is because we're leading into the secret society aspect is that almost, and I don't want to be like a big blanket over it there because it's very easy for people to be like, he's wrong. He said all. Okay. Almost all of these secret societies in one way, shape, or form lead into the Kabbalah. And
well, yeah, it's always got to have a common source.
Yes.
You know, if you think about it, if Judeo-Christian theology is to be considered truth, if that is the definitive truth, Genesis is humanity's true origin point, then every belief system that resulted after the fact, whether before or after these things were written down, stemmed from the original source. Everything has to stem from the original source material. That's why you have so many of these theologies, whether Greek, Roman, Egyptian, or Norse mythologies, have so many similar stories.
Yeah.
Fucking Samson and Hercules as a prime example. Okay, there's way too many similarities to not argue that there's a common thread, and therefore one of which is the source material and the other is a spin-off.
That's right. Satire off the source.
Exactly.
So once we realize that Kabbalah is of Zionist origin, we start to realize that a lot of these secret societies are of Zionist origin, and with the heightened anti-Israeli sentiment that we're seeing, if we start pushing secret societies belonging to Zionism and Zionist belongs to Israel, dude, that means that fucking Israel killed JFK. Do you know what I found out about the Princess Diana 2 days ago? You know what I found out? Do you know the one that was doing good at finding the landmines? You know her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what Do you know what her next mission was going to be after the landmines? Her rough copy, her draft. Maybe it's time. Maybe just putting it out there. Just putting it out there for the princess. For the princess. I will say it out fucking loud. The princess's next mission, she wanted to be an advocate for the Palestinians. Her next mission was to be an advocate for the Palestinians after she had done most of the legwork for the landmine removal during like the wars and things like that, and drawing attention, and she had seen great success in the landmine thing. Anybody who's listening knows full well that Princess Di and the landmine thing was a success. She was carrying that success into advocating for the Palestinians, and they killed her.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a whole slew of reasons as to why she wound up dead. I mean, her next goal may have been to advocate for the Palestinians, but she wound up going on the radio and the rest of the dashboard.
Brother, God save the king, because what happens if the king dies? Princess Di's oldest son. Yeah, but the successor is Princess Diana's son.
Yeah.
You don't want him to figure out that Israeli killed his mom.
Well, it's kind of interesting considering, most of these 13 families, if not all, don't quote me on that, but, the majority of which, we know that the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers in particular are of Jewish descent. They're Jewish.
Yeah. It's not news.
Yeah. So our education systems and our education and banking systems came from Judaism. So if these systems fail, that's what happened prior to World War II. The education system failed. The banking system failed. The governmental system failed. And the media system failed by way of propagating LGBTQ pedophile stuff. Same as today.
Yep.
Most people will sit there and say it's anti-Semitic, and why are you picking on the Jews? My question is, why is it anytime something bad happens and an institution fails that Jewish fingerprints are all over it?
Oh, this is easy. You ready?
My question.
It's coming.
I take that back. I will not say Judaism. I will not say Jewish.
Nope.
Zionist. Because it's the Zionists. Most Jews want nothing to do with Zionism.
That's right.
Traditional Judaism wants nothing to do with Zionism. There are so many Orthodox Jews who sit there and who will publicly denounce Zionism and say that it is Judaism converted to nationalism, and that they are forbidden from having their own country, even if one is given to them. They are steadfast in that belief, and and people will sit there and call them self-hating Jews. If they're fucking self-hating, why did they not renounce their faith? Why are they sitting there holding steadfast to the faith that they're allegedly hating and saying, no, these are the bad guys. These are the handful of people that fucking it up for the rest of us.
These are the ones getting us killed.
Yeah.
Because that was Hitler's problem. You couldn't tell the difference between a good God-fearing Jew and a Zionist. You can't tell the difference between a jihadist Muslim and a good God-fearing Muslim. Can't tell the difference between the white supremacist KKK Christian and the good God-fearing Christian. If we strip them naked and put them in, you ain't going to tell. You can't tell. So you do just kill them all and let God sort them out. Well, we've tried that a couple of times. Hitler did it with the Jews. The Americans are doing it with the Muslims. Fuck, I think the Jews did it to the Christians way back in the day. Like, we've all taken our turns ripping the shit out of each other. It's horrible what we've been doing.
Everybody does it to everybody.
Everybody's been doing it to everybody. And it's like, how do we put an abrupt stop to it? Like, that's what's required. It's just the abrupt stop. The brakes.
Yeah.
And with this whole Jeffrey Epstein being a Mossad blackmail agent, like, Jesus Christ, that's just more. Because now we got JFK killed for the fucking Dimona reactor. We got Princess Di killed because of fucking Palestinian advocates. We got Trump being fucking put in a dark ass corner because we all know his name's on the fucking list. That's why we can't release the list, because it's going to make Trump look bad. And it's like,
either that or he's got big fat Israeli dick in his mouth.
We're about to find out, because at the next United Nations meeting, Canada is officially recognizing Palestine as a state.
Ooh.
Every fucking time.
This is something that hasn't been talked about.
Every fucking time a country recognizes Palestine, they get attacked by Muslim jihadists. Mark my words. And this has always puzzled me, because I've never understood. Explain it to me like I'm a crayon muncher. How the fuck do I support a Muslim Palestinian state, which is what every fucking Arab in the world wants, would be for countries like mine and yours to recognize the Palestinian state. So when they do, all of a sudden that country has a catastrophic terrorist attack. And they blame, this was like the whole like ISIS thing.
And it gets blamed on the Muslims.
It's always blamed on the Muslims. So therefore,
Iraq attacks Canada.
Do
you remember that? Do you remember that? God Inc.
God Inc.
There was a show. It was just a few episodes. It was this YouTube short years ago called God Inc., where pretty much the whole spiritual realm was a business. And everything was categorized in departments. You had disasters, publicity, miracles, so on and so forth. They were all their own individual department. And publicity, this was during the time shortly after 9/11. So Muslim conversions were on a rise because a Christian nation invaded a Muslim nation. So one of the people in the publicity department, okay, how do we get Christian numbers up? A Muslim country invades a Christian country. Iraq invades Canada.
Oh my God, I'm going to laugh. So in essence, and what's important for people to understand here is that one country agrees with the Muslims that should be a recognized state for the Muslims, and mysteriously, that country is attacked by the Muslims, who at that time, back then, they called themselves ISIS. And then all of a sudden, I started screaming to the fucking hills that ISIS means Israeli Secret Intelligence Services. I started screaming that. They stopped saying ISIS on the news.
Yeah.
We don't see that, because it went from ISIS to ISIL to I shut up because they just stopped saying it, because ISIS is Israeli Secret Intelligence Services. When a country recognizes Palestine, that country is attacked by ISIS. If my country recognizes Palestine and my country gets attacked, I'm fucking coming for you, Netanyahu. I'm fucking coming, buddy. And you can't stop me, because I'm already dying. I'm already on my deathbed. So you just go ahead.
That's not a death threat. That's just saying if you're gonna pick a fight with me, I'm gonna fight back.
No, dude, like I've said it in my very first video, you come to my country looking for something that don't exist, you might not have a country to go home to. I'm on my deathbed.
Because Canadians won't fuck around, man. I stand to this day that you guys are all up there hating on America right now, sharpening your ice skates, getting ready to come down and steal all our cheese.
It's just locked up so tight. We'll never get it. We'll never get it. We know these things. That's why we have extra cows. We have extra cows.
But if somebody invades you, the gloves are off.
Oh yeah.
And somebody's getting whacked with a hockey stick.
And like I'll line up, dude. Because like this is what these motherfuckers don't understand, right? See, like my country has this thing called maids. It's maids. It's the maids, boys. Okay, it's called the medical assistance in dying. Maids. You know, when you're too far gone, you feel too much pain, and you just don't want to deal with it anymore. We got this program. You know, the Germans invented it, and it was like forced. In Canada, we can choose. We like, yo, let's just put it in. I'm done. I tap out. I go one step further. You attack Canada, you're more than welcome. Come on. It's okay. It's okay. It's all kinds of room. Come on. You attack Canada, and I will line the fuck up at my military recruitment office, and I will literally look at my military leader and I will tell him, give me the Ebola, fly me over the country, and I will jump my ass out without a parachute, and I will make the biggest fucking mess in your country. And do you have any idea how fast Ebola spreads? Your little nation state, it's tiny. It's tiny. Little tiny. It's a little fucking sliver. It'll take no time. Dude, push us. Your Samson option won't be worth it. You'll already be done. And then, because we will use bio, there's a reason why we don't have nuclear in our country. There's also a reason why our fucking Medicare is free. When was the last time a Canadian went to the hospital with this life-threatening disease, right? And then the doctor patched him up, took care of him, didn't give him a bill. And then the patient said, oh yeah, just give me that dangerous virus. Wouldn't want that to fall in the wrong hands. No. Free healthcare. You bring whatever you bring into the hospital, we bring to the lab. And if it's fun to play with, you go home. You're healthy again. Go raise the family. Let us play with the dangerous shit.
Yeah.
We don't need nukes. So Israel really needs to calm the fuck down, because we're about to show the whole world who you are. Because I just said it loud and clear. We're going to recognize Palestine. And if my country gets attacked because we've recognized Palestine, the gig is up.
Hell's going to break loose, and the Canadians are going to show why you don't fuck around.
Israel needs to realize that the Americans don't turn until they check with the Canadians' crow's nest. There's big convoys, military weapons, millions and billions of dollars of weapons and guns and tanks and bombs, all of it. But the Americans don't move until they radio up to the Canadians' crow's nest, to the Canadian snipers, to be like, yo, is that road safe? Yeah, it's safe. You guys can go. All right, thank you. We're on our way. Beer's on us tonight. We take care of each other. The Americans and the Canadians, we take care of each other. We watched 9/11.
Yeah.
We're just waiting to see if you got the balls to come after us. And when you do, it'll be over. Brother, it'll be over.
You're going to get some pushback.
Exactly like it was over for Adolf Hitler. The stormtroopers will be reborn, and they'll just shovel sand instead of dirt. This is not a war anybody wants to visit. No. My military is small, but if you look at what we can do, it's scary. Like, we got the checklist, man. Y'all call it the Geneva Conventions. We call it the Geneva Checklist.
Yeah.
Israel has got me so fired up and worked up because they are working multiple angles to make all of this shit disappear. They're shooting journalists. We have it out now that they are targeting fucking children. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking about that one rogue sniper that can't hold his nuts together. No. If that was the case, okay? If one sniper went up on a ledge and just mowed through like fucking 50 Palestinian children, maybe just start fucking offing all of them. Okay, well, we'll hang that person. And justice will be served. But the problem is that
it's not just one person.
It's been leaked through the internet that the sniper's only following orders, and the orders are being given by the guy that's only following orders, and Nuremberg said that shit don't count. They were ordered to shoot the children.
Yeah.
No. I've been explaining it to my sons here as we watch the news, and I'm going to explain it to you too. You fucked up. Because for a long, long time, it was a bunch of grown men killing a bunch of grown men. And us, me and the Tin Man, bunch of grown men, didn't give a fuck. Y'all want to kill each other? You go kill each other. It's a war. It will end at some point. So a bunch of grown men were killing a bunch of grown men, and us grown men said, let the boys figure it out. Well, y'all fucked
then you
up.
start bringing the children into it, and that's where you fucked up.
Because now you got a bunch of grown women telling grown men to go and stop it. That's what's coming. You pissed off our wives, dude. Our wives are crying because they're watching dead kids. How long you think I'm gonna let make my wife cry for?
Yeah, and that's really stupid because one of the biggest fucking strategies and propaganda has been to put children on the front lines of the media spin. So if you want to gain sympathy for a cause, you put the children at the forefront. Okay, so if Israel's trying to play the good guy and play the victim, the good guy, the victim, doesn't turn around and start massacring children. That's political suicide. Yeah. That's going against their own fucking program.
Remember there when Netanyahu gave a bunch of money, or no, sorry, this guy gave a religious leader gave a bunch of money to Netanyahu, and he said, like, the Messiah is not here yet. And dude, like, you guys can find this on fucking YouTube. This YouTube video is burying Netanyahu, where this religious leader in Israel is giving him money and telling him the Messiah has not arrived yet. Please do something that will hasten his arrival. And now they're killing kids. We're running out of things that we can do to piss off God.
Don't say that, because somebody will find something.
Right, they're gonna start building another tower.
No shit. I mean,
but that's brain spin. That's why I haven't been able to do a podcast. That's me, like, mild. That's just me, like, I am so mad at them.
If you cut loose, we'd all be in jail right now, man. So you got to exercise tact in how you say it. Otherwise, we're going to wind up getting hauled into court with Alex Jones.
Oh, probably. Most likely. But see, this is the big thing, though, right? Like, I don't know if y'all have been noticing, but every time fucking the Americans destroy a Muslim country, well, my country just takes its refugees.
Yeah.
So for as long as I don't go around saying, hurt the good God-fearing Jewish people, which I've never once said, hurt the good God-fearing Jewish people. Don't start hurting synagogues. Don't start. This is not the point. The point is that there's literally a grouping of people who have built a government, and they're hiding that government behind the ideas of a religion. And that
they don't even follow.
That they don't even follow, that they converted to in a convert or die scenario. The Khazars.
Like, you're not Jew, you're fucking from Poland.
Right? And then the worst part, here's the worst part.
You look at the ancient Jews, you look at people who were born native to that region, they ain't white.
No, that's what's been screwing the Muslims from the very beginning. The Muslims have no idea. Zero. They have no idea how the fuck the Jews left black and came back white. It is beside them. They have no idea how this happened.
Yeah, but again, we got to be careful about what we say, or else we're going to wind up in court alongside Alex Jones getting our ass suit off. And he's going to be like, here, John Connor, have some Meth Monster Blue.
Right?
Because I'm pretending to be Alex Jones.
Yeah, that's.
I even went out and bought a freaking blue can of Monster just so I can make that joke.
Right?
I'm going to get some duct tape, and I'm going to write meth across it. That way it's going to be, I'm going to have it say meth and blue at the bottom. It's going to be Meth Monster Blue.
Nice. But you also know that's an Israeli product, right? The UFC the UFC fighters give the finger to the Monster logo in the UFC ring. They will take the Monster cans and they get rid of them.
I know this is supposed to be synonymous for 666. Like, these are the Hebrew symbols for 666.
Yeah, they just, as a protection, it's mirrored. So that symbol, if you look at it in a mirror, it's the right way to write it, but they wrote it backwards for the logo.
Holy shit.
It's because I boycott Israel, dude. I am a boycott, divest, and sanction, bro. Like, I am like, do not buy Israeli goods. I do not order Starbucks. I do not give my bucks to the Star. I just don't.
Yeah.
Right? And
I don't even know what all products
There's an
come
app
out
for
of
that.
Israel other than olive oil. Like up until you said something, I didn't know that Monster was an Israeli product, and I'm gonna have to look into that to confirm that.
There's an app. There's an app that you can buy that when you scan the barcode, it tells you if it has anything remotely to do with Israel. So if the sugar in that can comes
Wow,
from
there's
Israel,
anti-Semitic apps.
yeah, because there was a point. It was during the Syria when the sarin gas happened in Syria. They blamed Bashar al-Assad, but Bashar doesn't have access to that kind of weaponry. The Israelis and the Americans have access to that weaponry. And they tried to blame the Muslim for releasing sarin gas on his own people. But I don't know a lot of politicians that stand a whole lot to gain actually killing their own people. But now, if another government was to kill a bunch of people, the best cover story they could ever say is that leader's corrupt. Look, he's killing his own people. Right? So it's like my eyes have been cracked.
The Saddam Hussein
so
syndrome.
wide open. Right? It's like the problem is, dude, is that I've been listening to the Adolf Hitler speeches that have been translated. I've been finding more and more and more and more, and I'm realizing deep down inside, I'm not a white supremacist, but I know what Hitler was saying. And I'm still on the fence on how bad he was.
Hitler was a Jew himself. They say he was a self-hating Jew and got pissed off because his dad was abusive and he didn't get into art school and all this other bullshit. I mean, a lot of people are actually looking into the actual history and going, things aren't adding up.
Revisionists.
And that's not good. That's not good if you're trying to perpetuate a notion in a world of free information. And I think that a lot of that has to do with why Europe's putting so much pressure on age verification and identity verification and whatnot, because they want to know who's looking up and saying what so they can silence them. They want to control the flow of information because it's already there. It's quantified a cajillion times. You can't get rid of it at this point. So the only other alternative is to silence the people sharing the information who have already found it. And they're sharing it with those who otherwise don't know where to find it. There is so much to history, both good and bad and indifferent, that paints a much different picture of history than what we know. And I'm not just talking about Hitler, but just in general. I mean, you're hearing a lot of shit about MLK right now, Martin Luther King, about him, not being a true Christian and engaging in orgies and all kinds of shit. I mean, sometimes there's disinformation. Yeah. A lot of times there's bullshit. But when you start looking and you can look at the facts and go, okay, historical documents say this. My history book that says something different, says this, but all these historical documents, all these pieces of legislation, all these journals, all this, that, and the other are painting a very different story of these points in history.
And very few people have the interest or the energy to want to do that research. They just want it delivered to them like the news. Right. But what most people don't understand is that after 9/11, there was a law that was passed that made it so that you can lie on the news. Very few people even know that like that. In the United States of America, you are not obligated to tell the truth on the news.
That was actually, I think, during the Reagan era. I think that was during the Reagan era.
Probably, but
maybe even before that. I know that it happened way before 9/11. I know what piece of legislation you're talking about. That happened way before you and I got to the dirt bowl.
Yeah, because it was to mislead the enemy because everybody understands that the enemy watches CNN as well. That kind of a thing. Which is smart. Like it's smart.
You control the flow of information, you control what people think and believe.
Right, because like here we are 2 and 3 years old, they're not even born, and they pass a law like this, and then we grow up thinking the news is actually the news. when it's been doctored to fool the enemy. But like, we're like, what the fuck? You should have let a brother know.
But then you have to ask, if they didn't tell you, then that must mean that you're the enemy.
Oh, that's a deeper fucking rabbit hole there. Because
no, not really. I mean, if you just look at it at face value, if you are protecting, if something is classified to keep it out of enemy hands, and you don't have access to that information, then you are considered the enemy.
Yep.
You must be the enemy by proxy.
And one of the biggest reasons why I push back so hard on Israel, like even like damn near the point where I threaten an entire fucking nation state, is simple. Nobody does it. Nobody.
Well, I mean, if somebody attacks you, you have a right to defend yourself. If somebody declares war on your country, you have every right to go to war and die if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
You have that country, if attacked and has war declared on it, has every right to respond and engage. There's nothing ethically wrong with that. And, there's no YouTube violation.
And like, here's the big thing too. If I'm going to laugh because if this video disappears, it's probably going to be because it got taken down because of something what they have done, or B,
I'm not joking.
If the video here just disappears, then it's probably I probably touched too close to too many things. And then the other one is if we declare that we recognize Palestine as a state and nothing happens to Canada, it'll be one of the first countries, if not the first. And I will be able to say with a 100% certainty that that this country that I live in is a country that has one motherfucker, at least one, this guy. I'll put you on your place, put you in your place. I don't need tanks, bombs, bullets. I don't need none of that. It's just all that happens is I say, they do, and my people and the American people, they see. Because heaven forbid, if we should happen to go viral at the wrong time, coupled with the right time. So if we recognize Palestine as Canada, and then we get attacked, and then all of a sudden this video becomes the thing circulating around because they're like, this one motherfucker said it was going to happen. He said it was going to happen, and he warned them what would happen if it happened. It's possible. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's possible. That's why the content is now created. I don't hate Jewish people. I hate morons. I hate people that hurt people. It's useless. It is of no value.
And they sit there in their little closed circuit rooms, not just at the World Economic Forum and all that. They're sitting in Bohemian Grove. They're sitting in their little high-end 99-degree level lodges and in their friggin' skull and bones, whatever the fuck you would call it. They're sitting there making these policy decisions. They're writing the fucking script behind closed doors. And that's why JFK brought it up. It's like secret society's doing this shit because they're fucking the ones behind closed doors writing the fucking script. And then all of a sudden, he winds up dead. And, his own family's back in the fucking White House right now, serving under the current administration. And yet, this subject had never been brought up. Why do these secret societies still exist?
And why is nobody talking about it?
We as a society, even in Canada, have been strongly opposed to secret societies, yet here they are, not only existing, but having a prominent influence in our countries and throughout the world. And at what point do we acknowledge that this is going on and that these people are writing scripts and that they've got their hands in everything, banking, media, government, my asshole?
Pretty much.
When do we go and grab the hand and go, bad monkeys? Get your hand out of my asshole. I'm not a puppet.
Here's a new conspiracy. I read it nowhere because I literally just thought of it in my own little brain right now. No one has ever yet, that I'm aware of, figured out, you know, when Russia invaded the Ukraine, all the trucks, all the tanks, they all had something spray painted on them. Big letter Z. A big white Z. I'm starting to believe, and I'm starting to wonder, did Russia invade Ukraine as a distraction on behalf of the Zionists? And the big white Z on the machinery is Zionist-owned, Zionist-paid-for machinery? Because, you see, as long as Israel offered enough money, Russia's not really doing the very best. So any large sum of money, for as long as there was a benefit. Yeah. Oh my fuck. Oh my fuck. Do something that will hasten the arrival of the Messiah. Okay. The Israelis gave...
His brain gets fired. He's going for it.
The Israelis gave the Russians entirely too much money in order to invade Ukraine. Why would the Russians do that? Because the Israelis said that when you're done the invasion, you're going to be able to keep what you invaded. And although it does not look like it today, mark my words, what's the date today? We are August 13th. Not only will Russia be able to have the territories that they conquered physically, that they will inherit territories that they did not conquer. I guarantee you that this would be the selling feature, because Russia's not going to go to war for nothing. Even if you paid them, they're not going to just do it unless there's something in it for them. So you mean
that's why Zelensky's opposing the legislation, because he refused to give up any land, and he wasn't, quote, included in the negotiations of the New Deal. And he wouldn't, America and Russia have agreed to, that they're going to be meeting on this Friday.
That's right.
Here in Alaska.
And Israel would have told the Russians easily, don't worry about the Americans, because it wouldn't be the first time that we have it on fucking film that the Israeli prime minister says, we control America. We just push them in the right direction. We can have... Netanyahu has been caught on film talking to his family, and it's been leaked from a cell phone before AI was a thing, saying that we can have the Americans do whatever we want. We just push them in the right direction, and they will do what we want. So if they said that to the Russians, that means the Russians would invade the Ukrainians with Israeli money, without fear of American reprisal, because the Israelis have the Americans under control. So the Americans will funnel weapons, grow the war, and it's a huge distraction. Distraction from what? You would need a very big war and a very big distraction to distract from a genocide.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like I said before, you know, Russia and the United States being allies, they were the two biggest countries on the planet. We're the most nuclear capable countries on the planet. You know, we're mom and pop in comparison to the rest of the countries around the world. If you got all these lesser countries wanting to act up, and you got the United States and you got Russia who wants to be US number 2, you got to keep these two superpowers pitted against each other while the kids run amok around the house. You keep the parents fighting with each other while the kids run amok. Right. The kids keep the parents at ends with each other, and the kids rule the fucking house.
Yep. All right, boss. I just noticed my time. I have to peace out.
Not a problem. We'll go ahead and we will close this out. We're about an hour and 9 anyway, so I'd say we've had a pretty good run. I mean, we can continue on this till hell freezes over if we wanted to. I maybe want to try to take this into a different direction. You know, talk about media and, you know, maybe toys and products and whatnot. We talk about how media is influencing people to think a certain way. You know, what about the products? You know, I maybe want to try to get into that at some point. And I also want to talk about some of the connections with Trump and Vince McMahon, and how that correlates to media influence as well. Given Vince McMahon's shady history as well. I want to touch on that at some point. Maybe get my buddy from Ring Scoops on. Maybe get his thoughts on this. I'll talk to him about that later.
Yeah, man. For sure.
But I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of my birthday. Connor, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for the birthday song and the well wishes. And for everybody who's tuned in, thank you for watching. And always remember, follow us on X and on Rumble at REALTWWRN. Well, if we get up to 2,000 subscribers, we can really expand this operation and really start reaching a lot of more people. X has its limitations. They say, oh, you got to reach certain thresholds, even though we're verified now. You still have to meet certain thresholds to maximize exposure. So help us get the word out there. Subscribe, share the podcast, share the things that we repost. Follow us on X, follow us on Rumble. Help us grow this operation so that we can reach more people and get these messages out there. And till next time, on behalf of Connor and Revan, who couldn't be here today, this is Tim Man with the Worldwide Resistance Network. If you're watching this, you are the resistance.
Yes, sir. We are either dead or popular. We haven't figured that part out yet.
Amen.